Are you a confident, powerful, intuitive woman, but when it comes to the topic of money, you shrink? Hi, everyone. Welcome to this Soulful Money conversation. My name is Jackie McDonald, and Jaya Rose, the high vibe visibility queen, will be joining us in a moment to talk about this topic of money, especially if you are an entrepreneur, if you're someone who is growing a business or going after your dreams or having the courage to live a big life. This conversation will be for you. I know a lot of us face uncertainty in our businesses, and especially around the topic of money, and we really want to help with those beliefs, some of that uncertainty that comes up. Welcome,
Yay,
Jaya.
we did it.
Yay. All
It's
this
so
new
awesome.
technology. I'm trying to
I
figure it all
know.
out.
It's funny because it's so good once you get it right, you know?
Isn't it amazing that we can
Yeah.
chat together halfway across the world and
I
hang out? It's amazing.
yes. Hi,
So thank
April.
you. Thank you for joining me today. Hi, everyone. Welcome, everyone who's hopping on. I really wanted to start a conversation around soulful money topic because I think lots of times that we have these women that are super powerful, spiritual, confident beings, but when it comes to the topic of money, they shrink. They go into that fight or flight mode. And I wanted to know what your experience with building a business and generating income has been like and how it's felt for you navigating that uncertainty.
Oh Lord, wait, what?
I know. So much.
How it's
There's so much
been.
I want.
Yeah, I mean, uncertainty, I think, is a good place to start, but I can kind of start also with the how has it been in my business. And for me, it's always about the inner work and about that spiritual practice and about how much I'm taking care of myself and believing in myself. And everything is so tied with the energy and the frequency that it's so hard to compartmentalize. Do you know what I mean? It's
Absolutely. Yeah.
literally like everything. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. And I think like you said, the first place to start is to go inward and to, hi, Sarah, welcome, and to really do that spiritual work. But what if we can't get there? Like, what if we're like, oh my goodness, I need to make money in my business, nothing is working. What are some things that you can do to get yourself to that spiritual place?
I feel like anytime we have a money block, and this is so current for me because there comes at every level, right? You
Yeah,
can get super, and it can come in every shape and size also. Like for me, it's been easier to sell out something one-on-one that's exclusive and high ticketed than something small that's not exclusive and lower price. And so like it's not really about the money, it's about how you feel confident in showing up. So I think that's the first place to start is to ask that question. Well, how do I really feel about showing up in the way that I'm saying is, that it's worthy of being paid for and all of these things?
The word that comes to mind is embodiment. It's really how
Mm-hmm.
you embody your message, embody who you are and what you're delivering to the world. And I think lots of times it's linked to our worth, women's worth.
Mm-hmm.
We think, oh, maybe there's someone else out there that would do this better. And I love that idea of really holding your own and knowing that everyone will be at a different space. Like just because
Mm-hmm.
someone's offering it at this price doesn't mean that you should. It's really unique to the individual.
It totally is. And you know that as a buyer, right? Like as a buyer, you know that for somebody's time and energy or even just product, whether it be digital, you will pay X number of dollars. And for someone else, you won't. And it's only because they're holding that energy. They're saying, this is worth this. And I'm standing in that. And so you don't even question it. It's so funny because it's never really about the money. It's about the energy behind the money.
Yes, that's why I want to bring spirit and money together because I feel like sometimes people don't like to talk. They have a lot of judgments around money. If you have too much money, they're your judge. If you don't have enough, you're judged. And one thing that I've used is tapping into the spirit of money. And because people say money's just an energy. But for me, it's like sometimes that was hard to connect to. So I know
Mm.
for me, it's been actually making that a relationship in my life as you would a love partner sort of thing, falling in love with your money. And especially if we're raised with stories around our money, like it's evil or you shouldn't be a lover of it, it can really hold us back. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's awesome. And it's totally the law of attraction, right? What you're talking about. You're like, let me just have the relationship that I want to have, even if you have a lack of it or something. I mean, I did that when I manifested my husband. I consciously manifested him and I acted as though he was there. Like the number one thing I think that drew him to me was that every morning I woke up and acted like that love was there. It was already existing in me. And so I feel like it's the exact same thing you're saying about money, where it's like, if you're so focused on that you don't have it, if you're so focused you don't have the love, then you don't have the love. If you're so
Yeah.
focused that you do, then you already have it and you're in that frequency.
I love that you said that because oftentimes we think when I have X, then I can
Yeah.
feel Y. And it's
Yeah.
that little trick that like, what if you could feel Y right now? So what if you could feel
Yeah.
expansive and powerful and confident right now? And I know that's something that I'm like, okay, I get that, but
Right.
sometimes we need that hand holding to get to that space. Is
Yes.
what did you do to kind of, did you just like fake it till you make it, or did you do visualization? What were some of the things you did?
Yeah. For me, I'm huge into investing, and you know that about me. Most people are, do. But I do think, the transformation is in the transaction. And so just that alone, for me, my initial coaching transaction was a one-on-one coach, and I paid about $3,000. And that was huge for me. And I never really looked back. But in terms of like the daily things, I needed to listen to a lot of like podcasts about money and about how to expand. I remember it was just like it was homework. And you don't know what you don't know, right? But you all of a sudden get an awakening sometimes where you're like, I don't know so much. You know what I mean? So you get this like inkling that you're like, I know I don't know what I don't know, but like I know that I don't know that. And
Yeah.
it's like
Mind
this.
blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is. And that's a lot of times when like a breakdown comes, but it's also where the breakthrough happens and you just start seeking out the knowledge. And for me, as soon as I raise a question, I always get the answer. So I'll be like, oh, I feel this energetic block. And then all of a sudden somebody's Facebook ad will come through my feed, and like the 10 ways to overcome the exact fucking block I have,
Of course. Yeah.
every single time. So I just like followed the breadcrumbs.
I love that. It's really, and that's where we're going to start talking about our intuition, is trusting your intuition and all those
Mm-hmm.
little signs that start peeking up. And, oh, I'm going to listen to this interview, or I'm going to try this thing, or I'm going to sit with this and write about it. Whatever those little nudges are opening you up to that bigger picture. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to open it up to some of the people listening and ask them what some of their money struggles are right now. What are some of the things they're having a hard time overcoming? One thing that I've heard lately is women having a hard time sticking to the prices that they're charging for
Mm.
programs. So they're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna, do a group program, or I'm gonna do a one-on-one. And then there's all this doubt feels like, oh, no one's going to sign up for that, or so-and-so's already doing it. And what are some of the mindset kind of hacks that we can have to help you really solidify and own that space? This is the
Mm-hmm.
price that I'm charging. I know that I'm worth it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I totally know what you mean. And I feel like it is inherent to women in particular that we almost want the chicken before the egg, or like the approval before we actually step out. So we're like, okay, I want to charge $5,000 for this, but like I need someone to buy it before I charge it. But like you have to charge it before somebody buys it. And so it is that place where I feel like that's the uncertainty that you were talking about, in a way where it's like, that's the place to take that bold action and just that belief in yourself. When we build that muscle, like I call it spiritual fitness, or like your spiritual plank, sometimes you have to hold that energy and hold that frequency, even when it's brand new and even when you've never done it before. So I think that happens. But I also think in terms of just pricing in general, it's really important to find a price that energetically matches you, and then sell it one time at that price, and then never, and then you'll be ready to move on. And so sometimes I think as women, we have to, unfortunately, in a way, get to that place where it's like, fuck, I'm worth way more than this. And like, because we're so used to that, women we kind of coined the relationship with a martyr, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we have babies, we sacrifice our bodies, we sacrifice our time. And it's really, really normal. A lot of the women who, you know, maybe our mothers, our grandmothers we look up to, a lot of them had a martyr kind of a role. Am I right?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes, I
And
know.
so
Very close
sometimes,
to.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes I think we have to come up against that and really look that square in the eyes and feel it in a way. And you're like, oh, but recognize that that's the old paradigm. And sometimes you slip into that in order to really then use that as a springboard to jump forward.
I like that you talked about the old paradigm, because the old paradigm was very masculine in energy,
Mm-hmm.
like very driven, and can be intimidating for a lot of sensitive women, especially like go, 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 do, take a bunch of
Yeah.
action. And this is where the power of our intuition can come in when we
Mm-hmm.
take the time to tap in, to tune in, to trust that guidance. And one of the things that I've done is the mindset shift is not thinking that, oh, money is coming from a certain person, but it's being delivered to us through the universe or through God or whatever your
Mm.
higher power belief is. And knowing that once we tap into that feminine energy of slowing down, of trusting ourselves, of really holding that plank, like you said, it can really, the universe responds. It's like, yeah, she is serious about this.
Yes. Yes.
And people respond.
It's so true. It's in that place. And ultimately, that is the law of attraction. You know, the frequency we hold comes back to us, not the frequency we think we want, or we, you know, because wanting is a whole different frequency than actually that's like that spiritual fitness or that plank we're talking about. Those are two different things. Like wanting is a spark,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's important to know what you want, but that's not the place that we manifest from. And it's not the place that we actualize our dreams.
Absolutely. I love that you said this, because it brought something up for me the other day. I was like, I have to do all these things. I need to get the sales page done. I was in that forcing mode, like
Yeah.
these things need to get done. And I stopped myself, and I, like what we talk about, aligned action. I was like, all of this is pointless if I'm not coming from that high vibe place. If I'm not, that's why I love your high vibe zone, because it makes you stop and take a moment to be
Mm.
like, what's it, is it, should I go and force through and make all these things happen and
Mm-hmm.
then get mediocre results, or should I take a little extra time to dive into my soul, to align with whatever my higher power feels like, my message, my why, and then take action from there? So
It's
I just,
true.
yeah, I'm really glad that you are one of the leaders in this, and that we can
Mm.
talk about this, because I know women, high achieving women, want to see results. They want to get things done, but just letting them know it's okay to slow down. It's okay to take the time to do that inner work, because, you know, we could do a program that gets us out of debt, but then we bounce right back in. So just
It's
trusting that
so true.
process, trusting life. Yeah.
It's like building a foundation to a house that
Yeah.
can withstand the structure of the house and all of the living that needs to be done on top of it versus just throwing up a tent,
Yeah.
you know? And so I do, yeah, I've gotten a lot better at this, where if I feel like I have an emotional block, and I'm not even going to lie, I had one for the last week, and I actually did work on it today, and like it's a huge shift happened, but it's because I took the whole morning to do this, and never once did I think, oh, I better be doing something. And in all honesty, I'm in a launch right now. Like
Right.
it would be, I should be doing a million things, right? But
Right.
I knew that there was absolutely no point in doing any of those things if I didn't do the work to clear that block, or at least address it and like allow that flow to come back. So that is work. Like if you take a week and do that, that's more work than you ever would do in 3 months, you know?
And it will get you where you want to go quicker, because I think to a lot of the mindset that I think is just from our society is this belief that we're so far behind. Like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm behind and whatever. I don't have babies yet, or I don't have a house yet, or whatever your beliefs are. And it's like, the truth is there's always doors opening. There's always opportunities. Like, what's meant for you won't miss you. And I like that you,
Mm,
like you said, you take that time. It took a week, but
yeah.
that taking that week of time to do this will amplify your results moving forward.
Well, I think that's huge. I think that's ultimately that spiritual process, or if you even just call it being your own best friend or your coach. And something you were just talking about when you were saying you were forcing and you were writing that sales page and you were you reached a point where you stopped and you questioned yourself and said, what result am I going to get if I continue with this energy? And
Mm-hmm.
so I would like you to speak to that, because I know that that takes a lot of practice to have that relationship with yourself. Like, I call it coaching myself. I am, oh my God, like it might even be annoying for other people. Like, you should hear my banter. I'll have like one negative thought and I'll be like, well, that was a negative thought. That's okay that you had that. Like, I have like the most fucking crazy conversations with myself, but like I keep that's about the vibration, right? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
allow that thought to let you sink, then you have to come all the way back up. So what do you do to practice that, being your own coach or your own best friend?
I love that. I say that all the time too. Be your own best coach. So, like I said yesterday, I was like forcing to get things done, and I just pumped the brakes, and I realized that the energy that I'm putting into this is what people will feel.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm forcing, if I'm got this frazzled energy, that's going to be behind whatever work we do. I know a lot of designers out there probably know that as well. And so what I do is I sit in front of a mirror. I have it right there. I grab a piece of pen and paper and I use EFT. Those of you who follow me know that EFT is my jam. I'm an EFT practitioner, and I just vent out what I'm feeling. So it's like, even though I don't have time to sit here and deal with this stuff, I accept myself anyway, and I really allow myself to feel those feelings that are distracting me.
Mm-hmm.
And I find after about 2 or 3 minutes that voice of my soul comes in and reminds me. So yesterday it said, remember that life is supporting you. And remember where life has supported you in the past. And all of a sudden, all these memories came flooding back. I'm supported by my family. I'm supported by my friends. I always have enough money to do the things I want to do and more. And it reminded me that you're supported in this process. So it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
take the time that you need. And
Amazing.
yeah, I mean, it took maybe a total of 10 to 15 minutes, but it totally changed the pace of my day. It totally changed the pace of my product. So that's what my process looks like. And I always encourage people, sometimes they call it their intuition, their inner voice, their higher self. Just, what would love say to me? We have that critical inner voice of, you should do this, you should do that. But what would that loving voice have to tell you right now?
God, that's so incredibly powerful. I just want to break that down for a second, because the truth is that you were avoiding your own truth, which you received that clear message of, you're always supported, but instead you were in that frazzled energy that was, you were forcing and question, you're not really feeling the support if what you're doing is trying to push forward all in your humanness, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, EFT tapping is so powerful on so many levels. But one thing I learned from tapping with you is that it's not just when you're tapping that it's important, but that creates a relationship where you start to hear those negative thoughts and you have conditioned yourself to say them out loud. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not getting caught in the loop. And
Yeah.
then you automatically say those powerful words of, I still, what is it? No, like, and
Life
trust
support.
myself.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
no.
Yeah. Deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I
Yeah.
mean, hello, like, that is such a powerful way to shift that paradigm. And then you have the actual physical movement that happens with
It's like,
it.
yeah, that emptying. It's like you're emptying it out, creating that
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do tapping, but honestly, I just do the self-talk way more than anything. And it works really well.
Yeah. I love having this conversation with you because I know you're someone that practices what you preach. I mean, we've hung out, I've been in your zone before, and
We
I know
slept
that
in the same hotel room like 3 times.
had a few slumber parties.
Yeah.
And I know that you live your truth, that you're legit. You practice what you preach, and you're not you don't BS anyone. Like, you're like, yeah, this is what's happening right now, and because of that, I'm awesome. Like, I'm normal, and you're not afraid to come out here and be really real with us. So thank you so much for sharing this truth. Should we check? I think there was one comment here from Sonia. I think mindset work is really about having a lot of conversations with yourself. Exactly. Exactly right. And immediately catching yourself when negative thoughts come up, and then being your own just best cheerleader and best friend. That's beautiful. And I'm
That,
glad that
yes.
this has been the message that's come out today, that we all know we have those answers inside of us if we just take the time to tune in and listen, and it's totally doable to do it around the
Yeah.
topic of money.
It is, and it's to develop the practice, because I think that maybe it's what you just said to me, right? Yeah, Jaya, you walk your walk, or you're legit, but that's because I practiced this stuff. This is not my reality before I started practicing it. And the same thing with you, where you're saying, well, I was able to shift that, but that's because you have years of practice shifting your mindset and using the tool of EFT. And so it's like, what tool do you need to incorporate? Who do you need to hire to teach you that tool? What are the next steps in terms of your learning? Because I feel the other thing about money in general, or in specific to spiritual entrepreneurs, so many want to just have the results and try and gut it out. And because they're strong, independent, fiery, awesome women, they think they can do it on their own. And that is also an old paradigm, and it's total bullshit, And I feel like, especially moms, we just are like, that it falls into the martyr. And so I say to question that, like, when you're like, I can just do it alone, or I'll just do it alone until I get X results, like that is that martyr mentality. And it's not the truth.
And it will hold you back. It will slow you down. I mean, if you accept that truth, or trust enough to invest in yourself, or whatever it is, before you feel comfortable doing it, that's when the magic happens, because the universe is like, oh, you're real with this. Okay, I'm ready to support you. So I really appreciate you sharing this, and I know we've both invested in a lot of people to work through these topics, and I think it's important that everyone gets this information. And anyway, I love you. And
love you. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go. Am I going?
All right. Awesome. Sure. Sounds good. See you in a bit.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining. And if you want more conversations like this, I'm going to be having a few more in the next couple of weeks. I'm also doing a free masterclass called the Spirit of Money Sessions. We're going to be talking about deeper on these topics, going more personal, using some tapping, some visualization, and some meditation. So you guys can join me there. I'll share the link below. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.